All right, welcome into the BFR Podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave. Cover the Bears for sportsmockery.com. You can follow me on Twitter, all socials at Dave_BFR. I'm joined by my good friend, co-host Ficky. Follow him on all socials for great Bears content as well at It's Ficky Baby. And today we have a good show. We have Bears. They finally have the offensive coordinator position filled. Shane Waldron from Seattle. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. But Ficky, man, it's been a kind of a crazy weekend, last 5 days or so. But how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, we kind of called this out, right? That there was going to be a hire. I think you said it actually like Monday or something. So I think you were spot on with it.
Shit.
You did. So like that was fire. Like a great call out by you. But and we'll talk about it. Like it was a good hiring. So I feel like overall it's been a pretty good week. I mean, we got to call this out. I love the fan base, but like Twitter is so toxic right now with the civil discourse with Caleb and Justin. And I'm sure we're not helping that out with the content. But, other than that, it's been a pretty good week. How about you?
No, man. Honestly, I enjoy maybe not the toxicity, but I enjoy the debates because a lot of people are actually really good at just like talking about how the situation in general. And the Bears are in a situation where we talked about it, a couple pods ago about either way, it's a really good position to be in for the Bears, whether they go and stick with Justin Fields and build around him, or if they do use the number one pick on, Drake May, Caleb Williams, maybe even Jaden Daniels. Like, it's just a great position to be in. You could be like Carolina right now, where it's Bryce Young, no first round. Your number one overall pick is with the Bears, and you're just kind of fluttering, trying to stay afloat. And so for me, it's a great position to be in. But I am excited, man. I really do like the hire in general. So Shane Waldron, I'm going to go ahead and bring up his bio here before we hop into it. But the Bears actually made it official today on their social media that they did hire him as the new offensive coordinator. He spent 10 seasons coaching in the NFL, including last 3 with Seahawks. He has 7 seasons of experience at the collegiate level and then 1 in the United Football League. So, I mean, if you take a look at Luke Getsy and the hiring back in, 2-3 years ago now? 3 years?
Yeah.
Is that how long? Yes. 2?
No, 2 years.
Something like that.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago. The one thing I like about this hire, well, 2 things. One, in general, I like the way they went about it because I think it's a good hire. I see some people say great hire. Even myself kind of leans that way, but I feel like he still has a lot to prove. But I like the hire, of course. However, I like the process even more when it comes to polls and then Eberflus, because with Luke Getsy, it was like he was like already OC. It wasn't really a lot of digging. It wasn't a lot of interviews. I think they did 9 total interviews for this position. They did in great research in regards to Caleb Williams. They interviewed Cliff Kingsbury, which I was very high on. But I love just the fact that they, really went all in, did their due diligence on every candidate, talked about, what would work with Justin and also Caleb. They didn't tip their hand either way. So for me, I think it was refreshing, and it was critical that they did it this route. So for me, Shane was the best OC available to a lot of people, national and locally. So I don't know, man. But Ficky, how are you feeling, first of all, on this hire?
Yeah, I think on paper, right, because we don't know how this is going to work out, right? That's all just guessing. It's good. Like, he has a great resume, right? He worked under the McVay tree. He has 3+ years of coaching. He's known by advanced analytics of being a pretty good play designer, right? Also, I know Getsy was really good at this, but it's also nice that Waldron is great at the, not only the first 15, but also adapting later on. Okay. So he has way more positives than negatives. Now, there are some concerns, like his third down efficiency and red zone efficiency wasn't that great last year, right? And obviously you can look at the offensive line being pretty shoddy, things like that, right? But it's not like there's no perfect candidate out there. But I think we said this, and I think most pundits agree, this was the number one OC for most people, right? Like it.
Yeah,
I think
during this cycle. Yeah, for this cycle, I really do believe he was probably number one.
Yeah.
Just from, I think, PFF Brad, a bunch of the national media, like there was a lot of praise outside of maybe Seattle and their fan base. They were more so like praising that he was gone and whatnot, which we can get that in a minute, but that's just every fan base, honestly.
I was going to say, that's every fan base. The OC and the DC are the easiest fall guys for anything. It's so easy to be like, they're the reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
they
mean,
are, like Yetsy was for sure, but I think that's just the nature of the beast, because people want change. When something's not working, they're like, oh, let's change this. And so I think it's much easier when you're looking at the totem pole, right? Like the ranking, more likely the OC and DC will get fired before the head coach, right? The head coach will get another turnaround and to get new guys in there to give them a second chance. So I just think that's the nature of the beast. Not saying that they don't have some valid points to some of his deficiencies, which, I just mentioned two of them. Again, there's not a perfect candidate, but I think overall, if most people, most NFL pundits, right, see that this guy is a number one candidate, also his track record follows, and his advanced analytics put him in a high category. I think if you have all three of those check boxes, I don't think it'd be fair for me to look at this or anybody and be like, oh, this is a shitty hire, especially when this organization has hired plenty of shitty coaches in the past. So
absolutely,
I got to give him a chance.
Well, obviously, I mean, look at Luke Getsy. I don't know why we can complain right now when it comes to like the Bears defense. Let me see here. Or the Bears offense last year, they finished 27th in the league in passing yards per game, which was 182.1. Is that all on Justin Fields? I don't believe so. Second in rushing yards per game, which is 141. That's great. And then 18th in points per game, 21.2. They were first in the NFL in screenplays. I don't know if that's true, but it has to be. It's probably close. But
it's gotta be.
I don't have those numbers, but I'm just saying it's like Shane and his creativity, and we're gonna talk more in depth about him and what we like. But I just feel like this is an upgrade. There's experience in the play calling. I'm seeing a lot of comments here. We have Waldron is 10% better than Getsy. We're instantly a better team. I 100% agree. That's completely fair. So I wanted to bring up these stats here. Ficky, you love this thread by Brad. This is Brad Spielberger on BFF. He was on this hire, a week or two prior to it even being announced, and he had this an amazing thread just about the Seahawks offense from 2021 to 2023. They throughout that time frame, Ficky, do you want to go ahead and go through some of this?
I'll go through it. So through this, basically the 3 years that Shane Waldron was a offensive coordinator and calling the plays, which I think is one of the biggest things I love on the resume, is that he called plays for 3 years. Okay. We can't take a risk on someone
in the NFL. Yeah.
In the NFL. Yeah. So that's a big plus. So this one here had 0.016 EPA per play, which is expected something. I can't remember the exact thing, but basically it's a metric that helps determine how successful you are, like per yardage, and they are per play. And he ranked 12th, right? So that's great for 44.4 success rate on plays, which is 13th. He had a negative 0.009 EPA per rush, which is 8th. And then he had a 0.053 EPA per drop back, which is 14th. Now, I don't know exactly how these advanced analytics are calculated. I don't know the exact formulas. I just take them for what they are. And if you look at that list, right, you can't look at just one and be like, well, that means it's great. But if I see 4 advanced analytics statistics showing him in top 15 and 1 in top 10, that gives me a good overall view that the man is, knows what he's doing to an extent to at least put him in the upper threshold, right? It doesn't mean he's up there with like a Ben Johnson, you know what I mean? Or like a Matt LaFleur. But we talk about someone who, if we look at Luke Getsy, I guarantee if we were to pull up those numbers, I bet you they're 25 and below. So yeah, this is a major improvement. And just this on paper, right? It does give you hope. So I think that's great.
Yeah. So I want to kind of go over there's more of this thread. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing too, because I forgot the comment here. He's been everywhere, Patriots, Rams, etc. Another big thing, which I think is great, is he's coached under 3 Super Bowl champions. He's coached under the GOAT, Bill Belichick. He's coached under Sean McVay, and he's coached under why can't I remember the other?
Are you talking about Bill Belichick?
No, I already said Bill McVay, and there was someone else. I can't remember. Sorry, it's slipping my mind. But basically, we talked about the resume, right? This man has learned from Oh, Pete Carroll.
Mhm.
Duh. He was just in Seattle. Duh. That's the one I was thinking of. So Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Sean McVay. That's a great, track record to have.
Did you say Matt LaFleur as well?
No, he didn't. Did he coach under LaFleur?
Yeah. So he was
yeah.
he was either under or with, and then also Kevin O'Connell, Jay Gruden, Josh McDaniels, and of course Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and whatnot. But I mean, it's just he has a lot of experience that he can pull from a lot of different, coaches, trees, and everything. But I think McVay is obviously the
big one,
prominent and more, the big one is what the Bears are really going for. But I wanted to go back here because there's a little bit more on this thread, Ficky, which before I get to, I wanted to kind of explain EPA because I had to even look it up because you see it so much. So EPA is expected points added.
There it is.
What it means is expected points added, commonly referred to as EPA, is a measure of how well a team performs relative to expectation. So, for example, if a team starts a drive on the 50-yard line, its expected points to start the drive would be 2.5. If the team ends the drive with a field goal, thus gaining 3 points that drive, its EPA for the drive would be found by subtracting its expected points from how many points it actually gained. So 3 minus 2.5 would be 0.5 EPA. So it's like,
got you.
It gets a little confusing because like every drive is unique. Some end in touchdowns, some end in field goals, and then there's turnovers and everything. So it kind of can get a little confusing, but it's a really unique way, and I think it is more prominent right now in the NFL as far as like how they're calculating value, not just in positions, edge rushers and everything like that. Quarterbacks especially is probably the big one, but
advanced analytics are leading the league right now. Like this is the way it's been kind of moving. And you're seeing, even we talked about Brad from PFF. You're seeing now people who have come from PFF getting head coaching jobs. So this advanced analytics is definitely.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't know that? People from PFF. Yeah. I can't remember. There was someone. There's been.
I know a lot of coaches love analytics. Now there's quite a few of them. So
correct.
So, but I mean, they're smarts. I know a lot of them are some can be like in the as far as the finance department and all, GM role or some type of assistant role within, a franchise. So, but I'm going to move on here.
But just like PFF, right? You can't take it all. It's not all or nothing. But when you see enough of a trend, right, which we're going to see with these rankings, you're going to see Waldron falls in the top half of the NFL when it comes to offense. So if I see enough of that, I think it makes sense that it paints a good picture of like, oh, this is an above average offensive coordinator, right? And I'm not going to be mad about that when we had a bottom 5 offensive coordinator. But sorry, go ahead, continue. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. I knew it was coming. Every episode, there's at least one part where I'm muted. But first of all, we have our producer, Jack. It's actually his first time hopping on the show. Shout out to Jack. There was a comment he just talked about Caleb Williams or Justin Fields being mentioned in Eberflus's, interviews with OCs. And so I wanted, right here. So that guy, 44, he goes, did you guys see the Albert Breer article comment about how Caleb was the main reason why candidates were interested, but Flus defended Fields? First of all, that definitely caught my eye. I didn't see it till later this afternoon. Ficky, have you seen it yet? I have it on the screen now.
So, I've seen it.
Okay, so I'm going to read it here for our Apple, Spotify listeners, of course, but it says the chance potentially to coach USC's Caleb Williams was something mentioned to me as a drawing card by candidates for the job, though Eberflus did defend Justin Fields in the interviews, as I understand it. So for me personally, how I feel is like I think that's good on Eberflus because Justin he went through thick and thin in 2022, put the team on his back. This year, obviously, you could say step forward, maybe a step back, but I love the fact that he is still going to bat for him because that at least leaves it on the table. Even if they're not going to keep Fields, this getting out is just going to, hike up the value for either Fields or that number 1 overall pick. Because I've said it, I'm going to stay on the thing. I am right here in the middle. When it comes to Justin, I would like for them to keep him. Absolutely. But if they go Caleb's, I totally understand it. And I'm excited because, a rookie, he's very talented. You could say all the hype around him. It would be pretty surreal to have that type of quarterback in Chicago and by using the number 1 overall pick. But what are your thoughts on this, man? What do you think it is?
No, I think you said something right there that may have slipped by people. I think is very important. It did not tip which way they're going. Hey, listen, we've talked about this before, but a lot of this media, right? They put things out, like they use their words very well in the way that, not in the way I just did, but they word things out to put out a message one way or the other. And I think this just covers both grounds, right? I'm sure Poles, someone from the Bears organization to Breer was like, hey, or, whoever's leaking stuff, right? It's like, oh no, of course he brought up Caleb, but he also brought up Fields. So it does not sway the national viewpoint, even though I don't know. What's your opinion? It feels like, and doesn't mean this is what's going to happen, but what I'm noticing with the national media and insiders, it feels like more and more are pushing towards Caleb's going to be picked at number 1.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
But I think, yes. I mean, if you look to Hogan Johns, I think it was Dan Brugler. First of all, very respected. I love his stuff on The Athletic. He's probably the best in the business. And for me, there was a comment about when he talks to people in Chicago and about the pick, his understanding is they see that they're going to take Caleb and trade Justin. He hasn't heard that for sure. Poles is very tight knit. He's holding his cards, close. So for me, I think it's just I think the smartest thing to do here is probably reset the quarterback, or the QB, rookie contract. Like everything analytically wise is probably just pointing towards like, oh, the Bears do it. It just makes more sense to probably start over. Poles is going to be able to actually handpick his guy, which is unique. Whether it is, I know we're talking about Caleb Williams a lot. I think it's just because that's the number one. He's the number one in this class. He's the dude. But Caleb May is right there. Right there. And I know we don't talk about, Caleb May. Did I say Caleb May?
Yeah, you're good.
That would be a crazy. That would be first of all, I would love that. To have the 6'4", if we can mix those prospects. Can we do that? Like,
I don't think so.
I'll move on from
technology
Fields
hasn't
if
caught
that's
up
the
yet,
case.
But,
but no, for me, I think. What were we saying, Ficky?
No. Continue.
Oh no, that's all I'm really saying. I think it's just for me, I think a lot of people just believe that the Bears are going to go that way, but I don't think anyone really has any substance behind it right now, especially because the combine isn't here. We don't know how all those things are going to maybe change. I think a lot of things are still open. It's just reports are going to keep coming out. And I think it's the safe bet. Like if you're wrong here, like the odds of you being wrong, if you're like the Bears are going to pick Caleb Williams, I would say like 60% of that is like almost likely going to happen. So I feel like that's just the more popular route to maybe talk about. And so it also gets views and I don't know.
Well, it definitely gets engagement and views. So 100%. You drop Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, any of that stuff, that's the talk of the town all the way till a trade happens or doesn't, right? So, but I do want to say this. You brought up the combine, right? I mentioned this, I think early, maybe during the season, but like the combine is basically where all the shit goes down. You know what I mean? Like GMs talk, you start to find out values, stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I have, I know someone who works for a team. I probably shouldn't mention him, but he works for a team. And he was confirming that, that's where like trades happen. You know what I mean? That's where all the information discussions happen. And so because of that, I really feel like the validity, like they may be hearing things, but since Poles doesn't even know the value he could possibly get for, first off, trading the first, or the other route, trading Fields, you got to kind of take this stuff with a grain of salt, because he does, like Poles doesn't even have all. He may have some, but he doesn't have, I'm assuming, like very valid or like solidified value on what he can get in return. So we still got a while to go until that happens. Now, I do want to bring up this one comment just because we had some people answer the PFF coach. The PFF coach right here was from Bobby Slowick, people love, right? It's with CJ Stroud in Houston. So he came from PFF. And this is Cole Komet Fan Club on Twitter. And then also give a shout out to the Game Changed on Twitter because he mentioned it as well. So thank you guys. But yeah, I mean, people love him and he came from PFF. So, or at least he worked at PFF at some point.
Yeah. No, I mean, bright minds over there. So, I mean, I get it. So, absolutely. So I have a couple questions here, Ficky, about Shane Waldron.
Okay.
First of all, this is going to kind of tie in with Jim Harbaugh. He was selected for, I think he completed his second interview for the Chargers, Justin Herbert. It's very enticing. But are you satisfied with how the Bears have handled not just the offensive coordinator search, but also the decision to not look at other potential head coach and to stick with Flus? Reason I say it is because of Jim Harbaugh. Like this coaching cycle, head coaching cycle is honestly kind of historic as far as Bill Belichick being out there. You got Harbaugh, who is just won a national championship. He had ties to the Bears. There was a lot of, gas behind it. Maybe it's just, smoke and everything like that. But are you satisfied both with the OC and then the decision to keep Flus?
Yeah, I am, because first off, you're taking a risk. The Jim Harbaugh is so like Bill Belichick, not as much like risk, because you knew
Harbaugh is risky.
I'll tell you why. First off, he's working on his deal with Michigan if he does a new one to have he have protection against the sanctions that come with the NCAA.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if he goes to the NFL and he gets penalized by the NCAA, those penalties also then come into the NFL of some sort of way, or the NFL will have discipline. So there's that, right? The second thing is he even going to the NFL, right? At least it seems more like it now because time has passed. But remember, the Bears had to move swiftly and quick, right? For these things. They're trying to get ahead of the curve. So you're taking a risk on okay, if we start interviewing, that means Flus is out the door. If he doesn't even come to us, now we're getting, the bottom of the litter, right? So they decided to, which is funny because they have already so many risky choices to make, like franchise changing choices to make, that I think maybe Poles was like, let me mitigate this with a guy I actually like. I know everything about him. He's improved this team drastically from last year to this year. He always talks about the perseverance, right? Because he did. I was watching someone's YouTube. I think it was a Packers fan. He's like, yeah, the Bears are actually in a weird position because they actually finished the season strong for once. Typically, it's like, oh, they may start strong, but they shit the bed on the way out. Well, Flus did the opposite, right? We 0-4 to start, and we're like, yo, this team is trash. We're dumb. We're cooked. There's no way. And they finished out 4-3 to end with some games where it could have gone one way or the other. They could have been like 6-2. Or like 6-1, 5-2, things like that. So I think Poles is like, I see the potential of what he's being and what he's, obviously the defense got better too. He's a defensive coach. So, you got to give him all the credit for that, especially since Allen Williams was gone. So I am okay with it. Like, I'm not like, oh, that was the best move the team's ever made. I'm sure I would love Jim Harbaugh, right? But you don't know if Jim Harbaugh's coming. The Chargers don't even know if Jim Harbaugh is coming. You know what I mean? They just completed their second one. He could literally still stay at Michigan, and easily.
I like that fit with Justin Herbert and Harbaugh. I mean, it's an elite quarterback. Justin Herbert's had his, struggles, I would say, but it's more so I think just the stability and the organizational failure as far as like what the Chargers have done the last few years. But for me, I really like I talked about the process. Every stone, looking everywhere, really like the savvy move of talking with Cliff, getting as much intel on Caleb, even if you knew you probably weren't going to go and hire Cliff for either QB's coach or OC. But for me, I like the extensiveness of it all. But for me, I really do believe they did miss with Harbaugh. I would have loved it just because it's like the Bears are a big time market, right? And I feel like it's just they went too safe. I understand Harbaugh is going to have a lot of pull. He's going to demand a lot, but he also wins wherever he goes, And for me to have that type of pedigree, in a locker room, leader of men type, as far as Harbaugh goes. And I understand the allegations, Michigan, but I mean, come on, stealing sign. Like, I think that's bogus. Like, I understand it's like a big thing, but I feel like it was kind of blown out of proportion. Yeah. I just feel like they missed. I'm not saying I wanted Bill Belichick. Absolutely not. I don't think that would have fit. But I think Jim Harbaugh, I think it would have made a lot of sense. And the fact that they never,
well, my thing's this: if he was already in the NFL, that would be different. He's not even in the NFL. Like, I could easily, you are a god at Michigan, right? I could easily see him taking a 7-year deal or something, something great, like a biggest deal in college football, right? Because he's the biggest coach. So I'm not saying if you said, hey,
but he hired an agent.
It's true. But I'm saying if you're telling me, do I want Matt Eberflus or do I want Harbaugh? Of course I'm going Harbaugh. Like, that's the guy I want. Mm-hmm. But at least right, that Matt Eberflus will coach an NFL squad. We don't even know if Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh is
I
going to
just-
the NFL.
I just wonder if they could have kept, maybe just waited. You know, Flus is under contract. I don't know how, maybe if that's even, I don't know if they're allowed to.
Though.
Yeah, I don't know
I
if
don't
Flus
think
would
so.
like that either. So maybe it is a tough spot. I just feel like, and I think if any team could have landed Harbaugh like 100%, I think the Bears, if they would have went in there with a huge pitch, hey, we let Flus go, it would have been ballsy, because like if you don't land him, then you're like, okay, Ben Johnson, who we calling to maybe fill this role. But I do like Flus. I'm not kind of dogging him. I'm just saying, the only thing I don't like around this cycle is maybe the not even pursuing or even having the idea, because they did talk about it in the press conference a few days after the season that it was Flus. So,
well, here's my thing though. Who says he even wants to come here? Because I talked about the reports, the rumors. The Bears were never, even before all of us knew that Flus was going to stay. They were, you talk about like people like Albert Breer, right? He never once, and he talked about where Harbaugh wants to go. He never once put the Bears in that conversation. It was always Raiders, Chargers. There was like 2 or 3 other teams that were kind of in the mix, but you know what I mean? So maybe, right? I know they said they didn't call, but it's the NFL. Yeah. They talk to people all around.
I like Jay's comment here on YouTube. Flus got lucky that the players continued to play hard and didn't lose the locker room. I think that's fair to say, but you got to give Flus credit for keeping that locker room, because you talked to me after that Denver game, week 4. It's like the whole city, we were all, and Getsy, of course, which he's out of here now, but he kept them afloat, man, and then they finished strong, like you mentioned earlier. So
I mean, we had 3 blowout losses that we shouldn't have lost, like historic losses, and he kept the locker room. Denver, first Detroit, there was another one. I get it, he should have won those, but I'm saying like we've seen coaches in here before where they're like, yeah, nah, I'm not with it. Nagy for sure lost the locker room at some point. Trestman definitely lost the locker room. I know John Fox lost the locker room. They did not like him. So
I thought Flus did for a little bit. I really
seemed like it because we sucked.
But I want to go through. I want to finish this thread with Brad Spielberger from PFF with the Seattle Seahawks offense 2021 to 2023 yards per play. They averaged 5.5 yards per play, which was 6th in the NFL in that time frame. Touchdown drive rate 22.5%, 12th in the NFL. Series conversion rate 30.3%, 11th in the NFL. And this isn't just one season. This is with Geno Smith, 3 complete seasons. Scoring drive rate, starting field position, own 40 and in. So basically, starting at your own 40, 35.8%, which is 8th in the NFL. They had a pass rate of 63.3%, which is 9th in the NFL. And then they had explosive pass play rate, which is it was 14%, which is 9th in the NFL. And then right here, play action rate 25.9%, 14th in the NFL. So that kind of leads me to my next question here, Ficky. Who would be a better fit for Shane Waldron, Justin Fields, or Caleb Williams?
Well,
personally, you, and you have to pick one. Don't give me.
Yeah, no, I got one. I think it'll be Caleb Williams. Shane Waldron's offense has a lot of quick reads, right? Quick passes, quick reads. And one of Justin Fields' biggest flaws
strengths.
His quick decisions, right? The man holds the ball for a millennia, right?
He does.
Yeah, he does. And we know that. Like that, I think he knows that too. So this isn't new information to anyone. But because of that, I would say Caleb Williams. But can this offense work for either quarterback? I would say yes. Why do I say that? Because I'm pretty sure Shane Waldron's first year, Russ was there, right? Russ to Geno is definitely 2 different quarterbacks, right? And he was still able to have success with basically 2 different types of quarterbacks and styles of play. Like Russ is so different than Geno Smith. So seeing that, if Caleb is good, obviously it's going to work out. If Caleb is the same as, like, basically I'm saying I think Shane Waldron is good enough that he can get success out of Justin Fields and out of Caleb Williams. I think the bigger question is not who would work better in the system. I think the bigger question is who's the better quarterback? Because the offensive coordinator is good enough to where if you're a great quarterback, the offense will be great. If you're a good quarterback, the offense will be good. You see what I'm saying? So and obviously that's the biggest question of the offseason. Who's the better quarterback? So I think I know it's a cop-out answer, but I think they could both work. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably go Caleb just because, we know that his Fields' weakness is quick decision-making with those like passes and whatnot. But that doesn't mean I'm anti-Justin. Okay, everyone, calm down. I'm just saying, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go Caleb on that. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to throw up. This is while we're talking about the fit. This is every pass play from new Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron called against the Cowboys earlier this year. Probably one of the best games they had was against the Cowboys.
Give a shout out to who tweeted it. It was I'm bearing down.
Oh yeah.
Does the video clips.
I meant to do that.
No,
you're good. So first of all, it's all I'm bearing down. You can follow him on Twitter. I guess I'll show some love over here. Pull it up. He actually tweets out everything. I don't know if this guy ever sleeps, but as far as snaps go, especially in season, if you want to see all 22, whatever it is, this is your guy. Probably one of the most underrated accounts on Twitter, especially when it comes to the Chicago Bears content.
Pretty new too. I think this was his first season, wasn't it? He just came out of nowhere and started posting like all 22.
Oh man,
basically.
Rookie of the year if we were doing like Twitter accounts. Hell, offensive player of the year, rookie or whatever. Anyways, though, I'm going to throw this on here because I think you're right, Ficky. I think as far as concepts and Justin, I want to preface this. I believe a lot in Justin as far as the quarterback. Sure, he has his flaws, but man, is he talented. And so for me, I think Shane really can fix Justin, or maybe not even fix is the right word here, but elevate him and help him take that next step. Maybe that's something he can't do himself, and that Luke Getsy obviously could not bring out of him. But for me, just like a great quarterback elevates everything around him, I think a great offensive mind, a great, teacher, which I think Shane Waldron really is. I've listened to a lot of things about him over the last week and how just, first of all, we talked about his extensive background, but the fact that he's a great teacher and they stick with Justin, I feel like a Geno Smith turnaround. Not that Justin really, because Geno kind of fell pretty low, I would say. Yeah. Justin isn't there yet, in my opinion. But to revitalize and maybe elevate Justin, maybe another tier or two, I think would be awesome. We would get to see a Justin Fields that we haven't really seen in regards to the passer.
So I think I think a big key piece of that, and you said it, if we go back to the Poles presser, the offseason, when they basically talked about why Getsy got fired, was Ryan Poles said, we need someone who can adapt and bring the best out of our players. Why we feel so good about what other route we go is that we feel confident that Shane Waldron is going to bring out the best of his players. Like, this man is the fifth, and you can see it here. Almost every play has a motion. He was the fifth in offense with using motions, ahead of the Dolphins, which I was surprised. They were at 6, of course, but he used motions a lot. You know who would be great for that? And I've been thinking about it. I'm like, who did not get utilized at all, but would be great for motion? Velus Jones, right? Or even Tyler Scott. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I think the excitement is that like these guys who we just couldn't unlock. And again, it's not saying these are going to be some Pro Bowl level players, right? They could, we don't know. But I think it's like, I feel more confident that Shane Waldron is going to put them in a position to where they can succeed at least at a higher rate than what Luke Getsy did. So that includes whoever's at quarterback, wide receiver, running back, all that stuff, right?
I want to pull up. There was a comment here about what makes Justin special as a quarterback. I don't know if we can bring that up, but for me, it's a really good question because you see that a lot. It's like, what do you see in Justin? Can you still believe in him? And for me, his passing obviously needs to get better, but it's his intangibles, his leadership. Obviously, there's Jalen Johnson, all these guys, almost everyone in the locker room wants him to be here next year. And I know that isn't talent, but as far as intangibles go for a quarterback, that's very, very important. That's why Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, when they go and they talk to these guys and they're trying to find out more, about the film, but also more about the person, the character. Can they handle certain things? How do they handle losing? Both Drake May, Caleb Williams had tough seasons. For me, the character aspect and the leadership qualities and the mentality, the toughness, Justin's already shown that. That's huge in my opinion. Secondly, Justin can throw the football. Like, obviously his anticipation needs work, but it's like he's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL right now. Like, it's done. Like, you saw
no question.
a bunch of throws that some were even missed. Tyler Scott comes to mind, like, had a up and down rookie season. Love him, friend of the show, but there was not even just him, but other players, whether it's what was that one tight end that dropped the beat pass? Tunyon. It was right in his hands. Like, Justin's deep ball is something that not every quarterback in the NFL has. Like, not a lot. And he's probably top 5 when it comes to that category. Obviously, his running is probably 1B, maybe to Lamar Jackson. Yeah, you can argue he's the best in the NFL, maybe the most explosive. This year was a down
Lamar,
season.
Justin, and no.
But when you look back to his 2022 mixtape of his insane 50-yard runs, like, that 2022 season is going to be looked back like, you're gonna be like, 10 years from now, like, remember Justin Fields when he went crazy? Like, he still is that player. Obviously, this year was it was down, but for me, I think that player is still there. And so I think when you factor in the ability that he can get hot, he can get streaky as far as throwing the ball, where he can kind of get in the zone. When you get that swagger where Justin's like dancing and he just plays with a lot of confidence, I think that's where you really see, his talent on full display. So for me, I think all of those things make him at least a starting quarterback and a pretty good caliber, maybe top 20 in the NFL. And he's in year 3. If you look at the up and down that he's had to deal with as far as what he's going to third offensive coordinator, whether he's here in Chicago next year or if he's in Atlanta, he's going to have a new offensive coordinator. Yeah. Simple as that. The stability in the NFL just hasn't been there. The position, I think, Ficky, you talk about all the time. He came into this and it was kind of a fucked up situation all the way to 20. Bro. Yeah. Last year was, I guess not last year, but 2022. It was a rebuild year. They tore everything down. They said, Justin, sorry, this is how it's going to be this year. And they rewarded him by, bringing in DJ Moore. And they brought in more help this season, but it still wasn't enough because you had Darnell Mooney regressed. Luke Getsy regressed. He was going from, hot, maybe head coaching candidate if he did really well this year to he's now interviewing for the Raiders for, I guess, another offensive coordinator position, which I don't know how you feel about that, Ficky. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy, yeah. But overall, I think Justin, it sucks that we're in this position as fans and as far as the NFL goes, because he's a very talented player. And I think there is still a lot of promise there. But when you throw in the number 1 pick, you throw in the big market like Chicago, and he's had some bad games where it's like 152 yards passing. It's just, it sucks because I think the talent is still very, very evident when it comes to him. Yeah. So I don't know how you feel about that. That's a long answer. I get that question a lot in comments and everything like that. It's like, that's how I see Justin. And that's why I'm like, I'm okay with running it back with him, but at the same time, I think Caleb, Drake May, and this QB class is pretty insane too. So.
Yeah, so it's basically, to summarize, two points on why Fields is even in the discussion to possibly still be here, right? Intangibles, right, which includes leadership and handling like the team. He checks that box every time, okay? I don't care what you say. That is like his best thing on paper, to be honest. And the second thing is he's not a bottom 5 quarterback. The man's, good days he might hit 14, 15. Bad days he might be 20. Yeah. That's still a top 20 starting quarterback.
The biggest problem with Justin is there are some categories where you're like, oh, he is ranked in the bottom 5. And a lot of people fixate on that. Just like you can kind of cherry pick stats. It's like, if you really have this idea, it's like, I want Justin out of fucking Chicago. You can find and back up, easily get stats, get quotes from anywhere. And you can get that. If you want to push that agenda, you can. Same way with Caleb Williams. If you don't like him because of X, Y, and Z, you can push that agenda. Something. For me, I'm not going to push the agenda. Obviously, I support Justin coming back. That's kind of where I stand. But I'm not going to push it because I'm like, I think Caleb, I've said it. I've done threads on it. I think he is immensely talented. Drake May, I think he isn't getting enough talk, because how crazy would it be for us to go back and forth on Twitter with everyone talking about the quarterback discussion, and we get Drake May, North Carolina, if that happens on draft day, it's like deja vu. Like it's like
Jesus Christ.
he's
a great talent.
Carolina Blue, highlights on draft day, Mitch
PTSD, bro.
Trubisky-esque. Yeah. For me, I think it's just it's like I said earlier, it's a really fun position to be in. I think that's okay. So
yeah,
I don't know why I'm rambling on there, but
no, because this is what the whole off season is. I mean, we've already had some questions. I think in the chat, people are asking, what do we think about quarterback?
Yes.
And we just trust Ryan Poles. We're in a good position that whatever way they go, we're going to be okay with, because we feel like he's going to make a sound decision, because so far on this team, he's had way more. I mean, so far in his tenure, he's had way more sound decisions than bad decisions. I know you can go to the Claypool one, but at least he got rid of that one quick and moved on. So it is what it is.
There was a comment there that says it's never who we want.
Yeah, that's
there it is.
Well,
there it is.
To be fair, Plastic Rockets on YouTube, thank you for the comment. It's never who we want, because it's never good. The quarterback has never been so great where we're like, wow, we did.
Yeah, but it's like we wanted Watson, Deshaun Watson. Patrick Mahomes wasn't really talked about. It's like, but Mitch Trubisky, there's a reason he got booed. When it was picked. I could not believe it. I'm not going to go back. Could not believe it.
Oh, I remember where I was at when.
But that's the unique scenario with the Bears now, because it's like you don't have it's the number one pick. You get the pick of the litter. If you think Caleb's the guy, you get him. If you want to trade it back, you do that. And whatnot.
Crazy.
So, but before we move on, if you guys have questions,
one last thing, and I'll let you go to the transition.
Yeah,
the fact that I don't think the Bears ever had a first round pick in the NFL history in the Super Bowl era. And then now we have back-to-back. I'm sorry. It's just surreal. And the second one isn't because we're the worst team in the NFL.
No.
It's because of a trade we made. That's kind of crazy, bro.
It reminds me of like if there was like a 30 for 30 for fans, and like how we've had to like go through all this shit. And, the Mitch Trubisky missing on Patrick Mahomes and whatnot, and 5 years of, up and down disparity. And then it's like, and then you go through Justin Fields. You think he's the answer. And then we get here and it's like back-to-back number overall picks. It would be it's going to be a crazy, like if we look back in 5 years, like, okay, it was all worth it. We got a Super Bowl, whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
absolutely,
before we move on, if you guys have any questions, first of all, throw them in the chat. We're going to star them. We're going to end the show with a Q&A, talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We understand it's the off season. We're going to be here at least once a week talking about either the latest Bears news. We're going to have our draft, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of, prospects on the show coming soon. And then we have free agency coming up. So if you're enjoying the content, if it's first time or if it's, a long time listener on YouTube or Apple, Spotify, we appreciate it. If you can hit the like button and subscribe, we would. It really does help, support the pod. It's a great way to do it. And again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat now. Like I said, our producer Jack will go ahead and star them, and we'll go ahead and get to them here soon. But Ficky, I want to end this with Shane Waldron. I want you to rate this higher, 1 through 10. Maybe take a second, take a deep breath.
I think I got it. I got it.
How are you feeling?
I'm gonna give it like a 7. Right? It's not like
I thought it would be higher.
No, 7's good. I think 7's good though. Like I think from what the Bears have hired in the past, I think I give it like if I'm grading, I give it like a C plus, B minus. I'm not mad about that. Right? And I think that's good. Right? Like, let me put it this way. 8, 9, or 10, that's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, you get Jim Harbaugh, that's a 10. You get Ben Johnson, right? I'd be like, that's a 10. But he's not going to be an offensive coordinator. We got the best option that we could possibly get. So that's why it's like 7. I mean, I'll go to 8. It's fine, right? But I'm fine with that. That doesn't mean that it's bad. We've had high, like the Lutz Getsy hire. Didn't expect it to go so bad. But that's like a 4 or 5. I didn't know who this cat was. Right? Never called plays. We're just like, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? This one is like my confidence meter is way higher than where it typically is with the Bears hire. Does that make sense? So,
no, I think it really does. And I think that I thought you would be higher. I thought 7. I was expecting like 8, 8.5, 8.5.
Go 8.
Okay.
I mean, it's
no, you're staying 7. You can't go there. You got to stay there because I'm going 8. I'm going 8. I like that. First of all, he's smart. I like the history. He's experienced, innovative. We're showing some plays on there. He likes to use, 12 personnel, 13 personnel. I think Cole Kmet's great. Go get another. The Bears are going to have to get another tight end to kind of help run this system. And we're going to get to our free agents and who we want to see bring in to kind of fit and fill this offensive system that Shane's going to run. But for me, I think it's a home run because first of all, we didn't even know he was going to be available outside of, when the Seahawks dropped the bombshell that they're not moving on, but Pete Carroll's taking a new role in the franchise. What is it? Like a
senior consultant. Basically, he got fired without
some really cool title. And then all of a sudden Shane became available. The entire coaching staff actually did. And like, hey, you can talk to other teams. And now we have Shane Waldron, who obviously checked all the boxes for the Bears. They were extensive. I love that they did that because that was the biggest thing with Getsy. And I'm not gonna, I was high on Getsy. Like, I really thought this was going to be a great season where I'm like, we were going to be worried about him getting, as far as this cycle goes, I thought he would be getting head coaching jobs. But the fact that we were wrong, I get it. The inexperienced, no play calling, but you talked about it. Shane has 3 years just in the NFL alone, and we went through some of those stats. I think it's going to be a franchise defining move because this is a huge, whether you pair him with Caleb Drake or I think there was a comment here. I thought it was interesting about the head coach Eberflus, pairing him if he's on the hot seat. I don't know if he is, but say hey, you got to do really well this year. Why would you bring in a quarterback to, kind of save your job? For me, I think you play devil's advocate there. You can look at CJ Stroud, and maybe that's the extreme because that's probably the best best season by a rookie quarterback ever. I don't know if that's fair to say. Off the top of my mind, I think that's really, really high. So for me, if Caleb can do, I don't know if that'd be tough to replicate that, but it's these Bears are in a scenario.
Well, these quarterbacks keep coming, just like the wide receiver group. They just keep coming out more ready and ready. So, it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to be. But
Caleb's roster around him could be even better than Stroud's. And first of all, Houston, we got to give credit to Nico Collins. Like, he is awesome. But we got DJ Moore. You could even pair Caleb with Rome Odunze.
Yep.
Is it Romeo or is it Rome?
Oh, Rome. I think it's Rome and Dunze.
Is it Rome? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But Malik Neighbors, like you have Brock Bowers. Like there's a lot. And then we're going to get to free agents here in a moment, but it's like, I like the idea of Shane, coming here. You got the best of the best probably in this cycle. And you also got a ton of intel about, what you think. You heard a lot of different perspectives during these interviews, whether it was, who was the Baltimore, Greg Roman. Like, I just like the route they went, especially Poles and Eberflus. Yeah.
And interviewed a bunch of candidates.
Yeah. So all in all, pretty excited, man. So,
Ficky, again, we don't know what's going to happen, but like on paper in this moment, currently, how they handled this compared to how they handled it in the past, they checked all the boxes. Got the top guy, interviewed a lot of the top candidates, got their guy first. So I can't be mad about that.
Right there.
We'll see what happens.
And Bryson said it right there. PFF Brad, I think he was on CHGO. You're right. Yeah. He said he was the most sought after OC this coaching cycle. So lo and behold, man.
Yeah, we got him. We got him. Who would have thought?
We got him. That meme.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We got him, boys. But yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Who would have thought the Bears actually got a top candidate for something, right? But that tells you the enticement of having that number one pick. I'm telling you, if we don't have that number one pick, right, the likelihood that, Shane decides, let me go to a franchise that has never been known for their offense, and I take a big risk on, possibly not, failing and it's not looking well. Well, he knows that, hey, look, either I'm going to have a quarterback who I think I can improve and I can trade it and get a whole bunch of weapons, right? Or I'm going to get a new quarterback who's obviously, high regards throughout the league, and I'm going to be able to mold that. And then I think basically he saw this and said, both routes look much better than other places, and it's going to help get to a head coaching spot.
Think about this. Yeah, you just said it. If he's the guy to fix Justin Fields or to, mold Caleb Williams, and they come in here and there's success instantly, whether whoever's at quarterback, if you are successful in Chicago and you're the reason why we're in the playoffs again or competing, it's like unfortunately for the Bears, we're going to lose you, but you're going to be able to move up in the NFL, take the head coaching spot. You're going to be a hot commodity. You're going to be desired. So it's,
if you get a quarterback,
but if you fail,
I mean, yeah, but if you fail, you're just like any other OC that's ever came here, right?
But here's the thing, look at Luke Getsy. He failed and he's still getting interviews. Look at Matt Nagy. He could have a Super Bowl ring.
Because how it is in the NFL, once you get into the kind of the clique, like you just get cycled around, which is fine. I'm not worried when these guys.
What do you think of Adam's comment there on YouTube, Ficky? What do you think about that? Is that true? Is there any validity? What's the word? Validity?
Yeah, validity. The thing is, right? I wouldn't even say fix is the right word. He improves every year.
And for Apple Spotify, the comment is Justin Fields shouldn't need fixed in year 4.
Fixed in year 4. And this is from Adam Wolf on YouTube. So thank you for the comment. Appreciate it. My thing is some people progress at different levels, right? Look at Baker Mayfield. He had a fantastic year this year. And he's had fantastic years in the past, but he had some down years. You know what I mean? He's going to be either he's going to get re-signed in Tampa or some other team is going to give him the bag because he has been playing well. So the quarterback position, and this is why evaluators get it wrong all the time, and I'm not an evaluator. I would never want to be in that position, but the quarterback position is so hard. And first of all, it's the hardest position in the sport, one of the hardest positions in all sports. And there's so many factors that goes in because the NFL is such a team sport. You can be a great quarterback and if your O-line's not good, you're getting beat the fuck down. You know what I mean? Right? We just talked about Justin Herbert. We know he's a great quarterback. He's had some great years. It has not equated to winning. Obviously, that's not a QB stat, but there has been times where it's like, bro, he can only do what he can. You know, both your starting wide receivers are out, right? Or people are underperforming, your O-line shoddy. So my point is this. Fields has a lot to improve on, but one of the selling points of why someone like Shane Waldron might be like, hey, let's stick with it. Every year, he's gotten better. Every year, he's gotten better in every area that's been like his weakness, right? So you look at it and go, why would I expect that he will not continue this linear progression? Even and now with me, who's a better OC than who was in here previously. The issue with Justin Fields is not that he hasn't improved, it's the rate of improvement. We look at people like Josh Allen, who broke out year 3, who's even later, but you look at Mahomes, CJ Stroud, people like that make fan bases impatient as fuck. They're like, well, you should be ready to go. CJ Stroud's ready to go. Yeah, that's fair. Can't argue that. But it's not a fair assumption to think that every player now their growth falls into that mold when that's not the case. We just gave praise to Geno having some of his best years. Jared Goff, bro, might go to a Super Bowl. He's playing his best ball because he got.
And that's who started with. And Shane Waldron was with Jared Goff early on in LA. In LA, I think it was a down year or rookie year. I don't even. Either way, I like that comparison. Like Geno, Baker, all these guys, development rates, and then I think as far as where you come in the NFL is so important because it really is. It really can either help elevate you. I think there's only a few quarterbacks ever that can really overcome anything. Andrew Luck comes to mind. Definitely not Trevor Lawrence. But I'm not going to take a stab at, Trevor, but it's like he had a really good year of 2022, but it's like I don't think that there's a lot of talk about him being that type of player like a Peyton Manning, where it's like you can just overcome anything. I don't think he's in that category. I think it's very rare. And so for me, Justin is obviously not. What do you say?
But those are the top. You know how hard.
Yeah.
This is where I get frustrated because how hard it is. We are desperate for a 4,000-yard passer. You know how hard it is to get that. Right. You know how hard it is to get that guy who basically what you mentioned, who can overcome anything. There's only like 4 of those in the league right now. Like, it's not like everyone just gets those and we're left behind. Like, we don't have one.
Yeah.
No, you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh
4,000-yard passers?
No. The person.
Oh, okay.
The person that can overcome
like a dog, like a top guy. Right. Yeah.
Bro, it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, CJ Stroud right now, Who else you got? You know what I mean? Like Lamar. So even still, you could probably maybe nitpick and find a fifth one, but there's 32
Did you say
teams.
Joe Burrow?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he's injured. My bad. I didn't think about him this year because he got injured.
No, there's a few. There's like, I would say the top 8, top 10 are those type of guys you win because of and elevate.
But even that back 5 is like, I don't know. Sometimes
I want a top 5 guy. Like Jay Cutler flirted with top 12, Sid Luckman way back in the day. I want a bona fide, if you rank him out of the top 5 in the as far as quarterbacks go, you're crazy. Like that type of quarterback. Like I want a guy who is, no matter what, in the top 5. His down year for him is maybe 5th in the NFL. Like we're due for that, man. Like if any franchise in the NFL is, we're due.
I agree, but all I'm saying is that is so hard to find. Top 5 quarterback is a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're asking for a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's so many franchises out there. I mean, you talk about hitting it with, so this would be the argument for pro drafting Caleb or a rookie, because you're taking that risk that you can find that person, right? Because you look at Houston forever didn't have it. I mean, if you go back to like the Oiler days, but that's technically the Titans, right? You had like Warren Moon, but you go back, Houston, they never had it. Deshaun was their first one where it was like, yo, this is the guy who's top 10 every year, right? They finally get their guy, everything changes. You look at the Colts. The Colts never had their guy. Guess who stumbles upon the doorstep? Peyton Manning. Now they have it. The Chiefs never had a top 5 quarterback. Alex Smith was good, wasn't top 5. They get their guy. Now look at it, championship.
Hey.
And then the GOAT, the Patriots. Before the Patriots, Drew Bledsoe, top 5? I don't think so, right? He was a good quarterback. He wasn't top 5. You get Tom Brady, game over. So I think the point is this is why GMs keep scratching the lottery ticket, because they're like, look, if this is it, we're set forever. We're set for a long time, as you see with like Patrick Mahomes and some of these other quarterbacks, or even like a Joe Burrow, right? Andy Dalton wasn't top 5 ever. He was top 10 consistently. You get your guy, you now go to a Super Bowl. Andy Dalton never went to a Super Bowl. So I think that's the point, right? Can Fields take you to a Super Bowl? Absolutely. I wouldn't be mad about that either. But maybe from a GM perspective, they're saying, hey, look, this might be our Andrew Luck. This might be our Peyton Manning. This might be X, Y, and Z, right? And maybe they take that scratch off. But it could also miss too. That's the risk.
I want to ask you this then, because there's a comment here, Cademan in our group chat, Bears group chat. We've had this, for 5 years now. First of all, he's in our group chat. He says, extremely hard to find one, but when you have the number 1 overall, you got to take the shot. There was another comment that said, it sounds like you guys want Caleb then. Because my question for you, Ficky, is can Justin be a top 5 guy? Can he be a top 5 guy in the NFL as far as quarterback goes?
I think when I think of top 5, I think more like Lamar top 5. I don't think this man – look, you go look at Lamar's stats, right? Lamar's never thrown for 4,000. Never thrown for 4,000 yards, though. He's never been a 4,000-yard passer.
But his rushing.
And what has Fields done since day one? You think Fields is going to stop running the ball? So my point is this. Would you take Lamar Jackson on your team right now? Everyone says yes. Lamar might take this team to the Super Bowl. So now, again, this isn't an apples for apples comparison. Lamar had a much harder start, right? Lamar had an MVP season. I understand that. But can I see Fields having some of the similar production, right, and winning games in the same way as Lamar Jackson? Absolutely. Look at Lamar Jackson's last playoff win, literally last week. The man had 200 yards, 100 yards rushing, 2 passing touchdowns. Fields has done that multiple times, right? Doesn't turn the ball over that much, interception-wise, most of his turnovers are fumbles. Fields could easily develop.
But Lamar, I'm not saying he has a great his defense is insane. The Ravens are built to win now. They're built to win now, and they're due. I am rooting for them this weekend against the Chiefs. I guess we'll get to our AFC, NFC predictions here in a little bit to end the show. But Lamar, I don't even want to talk about him and Fields because I do see the comparison. I think it's very, very possible. Fields, I think, was on pace to hit around 3,000 passing yards if he doesn't get hurt. And he was going to probably get close to 1,000 rushing. So I think he would have flirted with 4,000 total yards pretty easily if all things go well and he does not get hurt. Because when he went down, he was really on that he started like that 2-game streak where he was really hot. 8 touchdowns, I think 700, almost 700 total yards in 2 games. Like, not saying that was going to be like able to be sustainable, but it's like he really, I think things were starting to click. And then when you talk about Tyson Bagent and he went 2 for 2, I think there's a reason he went 2 and 2 during that streak, because it was a softer part of the schedule. So for me, Fields, I think stat wise, if we're talking stats, I think he would have been around that 3,000 yards, maybe 3,200 if we're pushing it passing. And then of course, who knows what he gets rushing wise, because I mean, he only had 1 or 200-yard rushing games. So I think I just would have loved to see his stats total if he did not get hurt. But that's another part of this thing. He has to stay healthy. He hasn't really proven that throughout these last 3 years. So,
right, there's definitely nicks onto why not to take Fields. Now, there was a great comment. You don't have to bring her go, but it was from Bryson. It said, "I think Caleb can be top 5." I agree. Right? If you're asking me who's more likely to be top 5, I would say probably Caleb. But this is the argument of why you stick with Fields, right? It's what you know. Caleb could easily be top 5, but there's an opportunity where Caleb could also be not top 5, like not good at all, right? That happens all the time in the NFL. There have been plenty of busts. Now, the likelihood, the numbers will say that he's more likely to, and we talked about this last pod, he's more likely to hit the success, those success markers, like 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards passing, 80 games started, because he's within the top 3 range. So that would be a check to go get someone like Caleb or even Drake May, whatever it be. So my point is, I can understand why Ryan Poles would go draft Caleb Williams, but I can also understand why Ryan Poles would stick with what he knows with someone who is great off the field, in the locker room, things like that. We can only go, because again, we're just fans. We can only go off the information that's delivered to us and what we see on film. We have no idea how Caleb is, or Justin is, on a day-to-day basis in the locker room, other than other people vouching for him, right? Ryan Poles sees that daily. And guess what? Ryan Poles is about to do some hella interviews with Caleb Williams, Drake May, all these prospects, reaching out to coaches from high school, middle school, college, all of that, to get intel on these players, to really figure out what's the character, who they are as men, stuff like that. That stuff is all weighing in, right? I don't know how much, but it's all weighing in into whether you stick with someone like Fields or you go ahead and take that risk with Caleb, Drake, whoever it may be. And we won't ever find that out. So it's just, for us, it's kind of like, I keep saying it, I trust Ryan. I trust his decision-making. Whatever Poles decides to do, I'm going to assume that is going to be the right decision, because so far he's hitting at like 80%, and that's pretty fucking good for a GM. So what's your thoughts? Mute again.
Thank you.
We got to do an over-under. We got to do an over-under on the mutes. That'll be fun for the chat. We'll have I set next pod at 1.5.
I was doing really well for like
you're
6 pods in a row, but this one I'm at 2 today. Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you hit the over. All good.
Let's go ahead and finish with. We'll finish the pod with some questions. We have a bunch of them starred. Jack, if you want to just maybe start go in order and bring them up, we'll go ahead and start just talking about them. First of all, a very lively show. We appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the episode and you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. Apple, Spotify, same thing. If you can rate the pod, truly appreciate it. Ficky, am I missing anything?
A couple things. First off, question for you: did you want to do free agents still? I know we might. I know we're already about 60.
That's what I was going to say. Let's save that for another episode.
That's fine. Totally fine. With
if you were looking forward to that, we apologize, but that's a long time. I'm excited about that one. So we'll table it. I think it does. It needs to be its own help, because there's just so many routes, so much fun routes options, they can go as far as options. That's the word I'm looking for. So, but if you can go ahead and just, if you're on YouTube right now, I think we have almost quite a few are in here. If you can just hit that like button. I know it sounds weird. You hear it all the time. It really does help support the pod. It's free. We appreciate it. But yeah, Ficky, anything else, man?
Also, if you're new here, go ahead in the in the chat, give a hashtag new face gang. Jack, if you see any hashtags in the chat, just star them. We'll show them before the show ends. And then obviously, if you're OG in here, I know we got a bunch of OGs in here because I see like Gucci Finesse, other names in here that always show up to the show and support. Yeah. Go ahead and give a hashtag OG in the chat, and we'll give a shout out as well. And again, Apple, Spotify, go ahead and leave us a review. 5-star, please, if you love the show. We really do appreciate that. That goes a long way. Follow us on all socials. BFR,
I think we're close to
pod.
3,000 subs on YouTube too.
So we had some good markers that we're excited about. You guys have been killing it on IG. I think we went from like 200 followers to almost 1,000. Yeah, going crazy. TikTok, we have like 300 plus. Had some videos hit 100K. Like basically, I'm saying that is a bragging standpoint, but like you guys have been so supportive. It's been fantastic. We really
also
appreciate it.
If you're not even, some people might not even realize that we're on those social platforms as well. So
we're
very important. It's BFR_pod, I think, on everything, right, Ficky?
I think so.
I'm almost positive.
Sure.
So
we probably should know that, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, if you type in BFR pod, you'll find us. But yeah, again, like Dave said, thank you for the support on all those platforms. Obviously, thank you here. If you can give us a thumbs up, a review, subscribe if you don't miss the show, things like that. We appreciate all the support. We love y'all.
There's so many great Bears podcasts. So if you, first of all, if you're like me, Ficky, I mean, I listened to about 3 or 4, maybe 5 Bears podcasts. So there's so many great, pods out there. So the fact, if you are here and you enjoy it and you're supporting it, we appreciate it. If you want to talk Bears football, follow us on Twitter, Dave_BFR. It's Ficky baby. What?
Sorry, I saw Jack laughing. So I had to go look to see why is he laughing, and I see the comment. So Reese to Prince and Dave looking like a model. So that's funny. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the comment on Twitter that someone said. Was it on YouTube or was it on Twitter where someone said you look like an AI generated fan?
Oh, that was in the group chat when I went on that rant. Chat? Oh yeah. Someone flamed me up for that. That was funny.
That was funny as hell. But yeah.
Yeah, someone quote tweeted it and I read that was funny. I was wondering why you're laughing. You got me off guard. Anyways, I appreciate the love nonetheless. But let's get through these questions and we'll call it a show.
Absolutely. So go ahead, Jack. You can just throw them.
Oh, I think there's one on here.
Order. Oh, you already did.
Do you see the Bears targeting a big name? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was to say this is from Cole. I figured out what this finally was because I kept butchering it. But it's Cole Komet Fan Club on Twitter. And you can ask the question, Dave. Sorry, I just want to give a shout out.
Oh, you're good. Do you see the Bears targeting a big name running back like Saquon or Jacobs? So I guess we can tease a little bit of the free agency. I'll start. Absolutely. Bring me Saquon. Is that Josh Jacobs, I presume?
Yeah.
I like Josh. I do like him. Obviously, statistically, he's pretty damn good. And maybe Saquon's only 26 years old. I know feel like he's been in the league for 10 years, 20 years, but it's like he still has some explosiveness there. I think the Bears really need an explosive type runner. I like Khalil Herbert, but it's like he doesn't finish touchdown runs all the time. Like the ones where I'm like Forte would have, CMC would have, and I know those are top guys,
CMC, bro. Yeah, of course he would.
Yeah, those are. But for me, it's like, and maybe you don't go free agency, maybe you don't spend money on these guys, but it's like maybe you throw a second, third. You try to get. I'm not saying go Jamar. Is it Gibbs from Detroit? Don't go number 9 and get a running back, but it's like maybe use a top 100 pick on an explosive guy.
So we do with Montgomery.
And I love Monty. Like he is so effective, so great. Every time I watch a Lions game, like I don't like the Lions, but it's like I miss Monty in a Bears uniform. Like I really do. And I was hoping that I really am disappointed we didn't bring him back. But for me, it's like I would love to see Saquon or Josh on a reasonable deal. But that's a free agency pod. So
see, I'm the opposite. I'm like, let's go. Listen, I'm not gonna be mad if you tell me Saquon's on the Bears. I'm not mad. Josh Jacobs on the Bears. I'm not mad. But from a cap perspective, I'm like, let's use that money somewhere else and go draft these new running backs because running backs, it's just what it is, man. They get beat the fuck up. Their tires get worn through, and so I don't know if I want to throw money, especially at Saquon, because now he had a good year this year, right? But you talk about injuries. That man has had quite the injuries.
So he's projected. I guess we'll go over this real quick. I don't want to go too extensive on every question because we won't get to them. But Barkley, he's projected at 2 years, 11 million. So 2 years, 11 million per year, 15 million guaranteed, 22 million total. So 2 years, 22 million, 15 million guaranteed. That's his projected contract from PFF. Josh Jacobs is 3 years, 34 million total, which is 21 million guaranteed, and that's about 11.5 per year.
Yeah,
so I mean, Saquon is
cheaper. He's cheaper, but he's also, why is he cheaper? Because of injuries. That's what it is. That I don't think Josh Jacobs has had that many injuries.
Josh is also younger. He's about a year younger.
Yes.
He's 25. But then you got Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard. Again, free agency pod. That's gonna happen here. I know March is a little ways away, but that's gonna be a fun episode. So good question.
Yeah, great question. We'll see what happens next. Oh, we have a super chat here from Ken, $4.99 on YouTube. Appreciate it, Ken. Thank you so much for the support. That means a lot. His question here is, if you are Poles right now, are you drafting Williams and letting the picks come as they are, or stacking the offense around JF1 prior to combine? So let me answer the back half. I don't think any of this has happened prior to combine. Combine, they're going to find out what the value is for what they can get for Fields and what they could get for trading the first, right? So I don't think anything happens prior. Man, this is the age-old question for the offseason. If I'm Ryan Poles, I guess if I'm Ryan Poles and I'm worried about jobs, like if I want to be the Bears GM as long as possible, I would go Caleb, just because you bought yourself 5 more years, at least 4. So that'd be and that's not even looking at the talent wise. I'm just literally saying from a time standpoint, and then also the QB clock standpoint, right? With resetting the cap. So, or resetting the QB contract. What about you, Dave?
Man.
This question, bro.
Well, first of all, Ken, I appreciate the super chat. Awesome. Very loaded question, though. How I feel right now is I think you build around Justin. I think you get the Hall 2.0, man. Like last year worked out really well. Darnell Wright was
Great.
He was first team all rookie team
rookie
for I think the Pro Football Writers Association, which last year I think Braxton Jones won it as well. So for me, it's like you get another haul that includes another impact player, and in your set again, where it's like you get 2 first rounds next year as well, and maybe another one in 2026. It's like you really are cooking there. The problem is, can you afford to have a CJ Stroud situation again? And I'm not blaming the Bears whatsoever for sticking with Justin last year. It's like, fuck, man. If Caleb has a rookie season like Stroud, it's like, and Fields kind of, he's okay. The Bears made it. They won the division, or they made a wild card berth, but it's like, Caleb is the guy. It's like, that sucks. So for me, I understand it, but it's like, I'm leaning towards, and I'll keep saying it, I'm fine with Caleb, but it's like I'm leaning towards building a super team around Justin, because I feel like he can be Superman in certain situations. And if you give him enough talent, I think he can really elevate to a point where it's like we haven't seen his ceiling. So that's where I'll lean. Good question, though.
Yeah, and let me preface this is if you're Ryan Poles, not necessarily what I would do, but yeah, if I'm Ryan Poles and I'm looking at my job, I want 5 more years. So, but
yeah.
Because the thing with GMs though too is like they typically, unless you're like a pretty good one, you don't get a second roundabout. Like you kind of do the GM things. You get it for like 7 or 8 years. And then once you're done, they're like, all right, you start to go to different like personnel director roles within teams. But great question. And this question, we won't know for a good amount of time. So thank you for the super chat, Ken. Oh, our boy Tito back in with another super chat, $5, said, "Sup, my dudes. With the new OC, you thinking he wants to mold Caleb or fix JF1? He resurrected Geno, so I'm thinking that helps JF1. We talked about this earlier. Great question. I think that he was sold.
I think he's cool with either way. Yeah.
Exactly. I think he's like,
either way is going to help him.
Yep. So I think his track record shows that he can elevate a quarterback to the best part. So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the best part about Shane taking care of, I know they're going to hire him probably they're going to pick an OC within the next few weeks, but getting it done now, it's going to allow him more time in this evaluation process, especially with the combine coming up. getting to know these quarterbacks, this draft class, getting to know Fields a little bit more, and he's going to play a huge part. And he's going to be lined up, obviously not with Justin, but if they do go that rookie quarterback route, they're going to be lined up together. I think that's cool. I know you can't line up the head coach, OC, GM, and the quarterback like we could have, but it's like now you have the opportunity to really have Shane, who has, we talked about his experience, talked about his creativity, finding the guy. If he's like, hey, Caleb, this is my guy. Love Justin. But hey, let's get a second for him. Let's get a first round pick maybe for him. Let's build more around Caleb. But if I'm Shane here, it's like you get a chance to really like to understand like this is and fight for who you want as your quarterback. So if it's Justin, cool. That would be surprising. But if it's Caleb or Drake, whatever it might be, that's interesting too. So I like that they have the chance here to really figure out if they want which quarterback route they want to go. So
yeah, I'm sure he leans one way or the other, but I think he feels confident that he can do either or because his track record shows. So I think that's why.
And shout out to Geno Smith too, though. Like I know Shane played a big role, but it's like Geno fucking balled out. Like
absolutely,
I think it's a lot about Geno too. So
100%. It's probably more Geno than anything because again, it's the player. The player has to put in the work. Just like if Justin Fields succeeds, the and
Seattle has,
but
they have some weapons too. Like that's what the Bears got to get this year. They
Lockett.
got to get, because they had Lockett, JSN, Kenneth Walker. They have some dudes, man. Like the Bears are not all the way there outside of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. So it's like you get Caleb, you still have a lot of work to do. And we talked about free agency. We talked about the draft. So anyways, next question. Thank you, Tito, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's another thing too, before we get to his next one. He runs a lot of 11 personnel, which means that he likes to run one tight end, 3 wide receivers. So like, bro, we got DJ Moore, and we don't even know if Mooney's going to be here. Obviously, Scott was a rookie, and we know what Velus Jones is for now. We got to get some other dogs in here.
Velus could be fun in this offense too, but
could be.
Anyways.
We'll find out. Next question. Laz on YouTube, appreciate it, said if Poles trades pick, who are you most likely to trade with? Okay, I think it's going to either be Patriots or Commanders.
I think
Patriots, Commanders, or it's going to be a random team we did not see coming where he's basically able to get a crazy haul like he did with the Panthers. So maybe a team that's like 8, 9, 10, 12 type
For
of thing.
Me, I agree with all those teams, but I feel like if he trades this pick, he's going to execute what he almost did last year, which is the double trade, where it's like go into 2 and then maybe 3. And that's when you scoop up and you end up with Marvin Harrison Jr. and a couple picks. It's like that is the route. I'm like, if he does end up trading it, please God, let that be the way. Where I know they were close. There was reports last year where it's like I think it fell through with what was it?
No, he was going to do
something.
Well, here's the thing he was going to do, which never happens in the NFL. Like the NBA, you see this all the time, but the NFL, it was a 3-way trade. That's what it's going to be with Houston. So it's basically 3 teams involved.
That's my prediction then. I feel like there's going to be a lot of
crazy. If we see a 3-way trade in the NFL,
can you imagine doing that though and ended up with like multiple picks and then also Marvin Harrison Jr. Like
wild.
I know everyone's going to be all on Caleb and we want Caleb. It's like, how can you not be excited if that's the route they go? So
I'm going to be excited for like, and thank you for the question. We keep advocating this because it's like we're in such a good. I don't see them making a decision where I'm like, God, I hate this. You know what I mean? It's either we get the exciting wide receiver.
JJ McCarthy, number 1 overall, might piss me off.
Shut up. Bit. I might have to end the pod, bro. If that happens, I'm done. I'm absolutely.
He was just our guy. Done. We love it, what he brings to the table. A lot of people wanted him, and we didn't want to lose him, so we didn't trade.
Oh my God.
Can you just imagine?
You're right. If there's something that's so far-fetched, like, out of left field, but what's mostly going to happen, I think we're going to be happy. Alex here on YouTube said, also, would you be comfortable paying Justin big money and not be able to fill the holes on the roster? So the good thing is about this question is that I don't think Fields is getting big money anytime soon. They're going to, the closest thing that would happen is like the 20+ million 5th-year extension that they have to pick up, which would probably be either this offseason.
Which is still good money, which is still fair for a quarterback.
Fair. Yeah. But it's not like 40 million per year where like the market's at for some of these new guys that are signing. So I think we don't have to worry about that. And when we do, that means Fields is playing well. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if we're saying, hey, should we pay Justin the money? That means he's playing well, because if not, he's just not getting re-signed. So I guess I did.
And if you trade this year, you still have if you have a couple picks, sure, they might not be number one overall. It's probably not going to happen. It could be, depending on who you trade with, but it's like, yeah, we don't have to make the decision on Justin. I understand like the financial aspect with Caleb, you get a few more years, but there was a great video, and I believe it was from, if I'm not mistaken, who was that from? Do you know what I'm talking about, Ficky? That really explained
on the extension.
It wasn't Brad. No, it was it was Nick Whalen from the Bear With Us podcast.
Yes.
He had a great video talking about the financial aspects where he brought in. So if you go Caleb, we understand it's the rookie contract. We get it. But it's like, if you go Justin, you're saving a lot of money on premier positions like Marvin Harrison Jr., perhaps an edge rusher. It was very close as far as allocated cost, and it was offset because of the premium positions you'd be getting or able to draft and surround Justin with. You'd save almost the exact same amount of money, if I'm not mistaken. But it's _ Nick Whalen, co-host of the Bear With Us podcast, where he put it together in a really good video. I'm sure you can find it on his Twitter. About it's actually a lot closer than you think, but a lot of the highlights and that gets the most noise is the rookie quarterback contract, right? Absolutely. And it's a great tool. We saw Russell Wilson in Seattle. They took advantage of it. The Legion of Boom. I get it. But it's like, there are other routes where you could save money.
Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers. Like, it's been done with this, like, these young guys come in, the team around them is so good that it works out. But yeah, that's a great point. If you get 3 guys under rookie contracts, right, it's probably going to equal the same of what a rookie, of what you'll have to pay Fields. So overall, like we said, we keep doubling down on this, but like, either option can easily lead to success. There isn't one road. The thing is, we just don't know which way we're leaning. You know what I mean? So we will see what happens.
Absolutely. Jack, do we have any other questions or one more? Oh, here we go.
No, I think it's the same one, isn't it? Oh, here it is. My bad. I'm a little behind. Okay, so from Bears Ski Film, I think. Or
yep.
Bears.
I know him. He's a recent. He followed the pod. He followed me as well, but he's also a content creator on YouTube as well. So
awesome.
Give him some love.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So
yeah, go ahead. And then his question here. Thank you for the question, and let me know if I mispronounced that, because I want to make sure people actually go to the right place. But do the Bears target more pass rush and free agency, the draft, or both? Great question. There are, and we'll talk about this on our free agency pod. There are some good available free agents. The question is, some of them are projected to get franchise tagged because obviously they're good. I'm thinking of like a Josh Allen, right, on the Jaguars. There's some others as well. Think about Chase Young, right? He might be available. So
Brian Burns.
If Brian Burns, I think he's franchise tagged though. Mm-hmm. But yes,
Carolina.
Right. Yep. So there might, if there's a player available in that caliber, guaranteed Ryan Poles will go get him. We have the cap. That's not an issue. Mm-hmm. But sometimes with free agency, is that because of the franchise tag, a lot of these top dogs do not make it into free agency. So you end up having to trade for them. So that's why, right? We're going to, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're on fire.
Yeah, so I think that instead of free agency, the likelihood is more of a trade to get that guy, like we did with Montez, if it's available. So like, you're thinking about like a Brian Burns, that could be someone we trade with, right? Or trade for. And I think for sure we're going to get him in the draft. The question is what picks we have, and obviously how people fall in the draft. If we stick with Fields, I think we'll get an edge in the first round, because we're probably going to have 2 or 3 picks, right? If we do Caleb, I don't think we'll get one in the first unless Jared Verse or Dallas Turner is there at 9, which they could be. If they're not, then I see us getting an edge in like the 2nd or 3rd round, something like that. So yes, I think we're going to go about both ways.
Yeah, I think if they go Caleb, I think they want to pair with if one of those top receivers and Neighbors, and Adunze, if they slip to 9, I think they go that route. I hope they do. And then you go edge in 2nd, which I agree with Ficky. But also, you got to worry about
because we don't have a 2nd then, right?
We don't have a 2nd?
Because we'd only have a 2nd if we did. No, because that was the Montez.
You're right. Trade. I'm thinking about trading. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but still, that's It'll be later.
I think they only have 4 picks in the top 100 or 3 picks.
Yeah. Which would be a good reason to trade back
down.
So
but they could keep Caleb and trade number 9, which I don't like, but I would like to get premier player there in that top 10.
But look, you can't. We got Darnold. Right. And look, Justin Jefferson was picked at 17 or something like that. So like it's the first round. It's so hard to tell like where the talent lies, but a lot of variables goes into it. What we do with our pick, how many picks we have, how the draft board falls. But 100% we will be addressing a pass rush because I love Montez, but he can't do it all by himself.
And we'll have our free agency pod, maybe 1 or 2, depending on who we can get on the pod to talk about it too. So that will be coming here in the coming weeks. Of course, we have the combine and everything, but I think that's all the questions. So again, appreciate it. We will be back next week. Oh, what? Ficky?
Yep, and on the way out, we'll throw up the hashtag. I'm gonna give people shouts out for the new face coach we have in the chat here. Okay, so we got Bears Kill Film, new face gang. It's my second time tuning in. Bears people that make content. Dakota on Facebook with the hashtag OG. We appreciate you as well. Thanks for tuning into the show. And then we have King Nate on Twitter with the hashtag New Face Gang. Appreciate that. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, you enjoyed the show. And again, we appreciate wherever you guys watch at, whether it's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, Apple, Apple, Spotify, all the different type of podcasts. So we really appreciate the support. Jack, are there any more? Oh, okay. Then we got the unique name who said just subbed. Appreciate that on YouTube. Thank you for the sub. Again, we appreciate everyone that tunes in. The thing's growing. Show's getting better and better. We appreciate all the love. It's been a fucking fantastic ride, and it's only going to get better with this off season and the moves that are about to go down. So,
yeah, and shout out to our guy Ryan Weirs. He's basically kind of like a graphic designer. He's helping the pod out. He had an amazing Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey swap that's on the BFR_pod on our Instagram. Also, this thumbnail on YouTube, he did the Shane Waldron, Justin Fields cut, jersey swap. I guess coaches are getting that too. So anyways, all the content that he's been pumping out, we just want to show him some love. And of course, our good friend Jack, he's a part of the original Bears group chat, but he's also our producer as well. So behind the scenes, we appreciate them. And hell yeah, man, we'll be back next week though.
Sounds great. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.